So thank you so much for watching this video. So last video, we configured a radius and a few other things. And now we're just going to install and configure some network load balancing. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be doing a few things. We're going to read off the list here of what we're going to be accomplishing. So we're going to first install the network load balancing node. I can't read. Then we're going to configure a new network balancing load cluster. Then we're going to add a secondary node to an NLB cluster, NLB meaning network load balancer, of course. Then we're going to examine the working of an NLB cluster, then configuring and validating port rules for the NLB. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, perfect. So as I mentioned, we're just going to start with installing the network balancing loads, and that starts with installing the information internet information service. So let's get started here with let's add roles and features, and then we're going to hit next here. All right, next again. All right, perfect, and then then we're going to reload, I guess. All right. All right, perfect. So the roles, just want to make sure we select web server, add features, next, right? Next again. Then here we're just clicking next. Then the role services. Everything is already there, so we're good. So we could just install. All right, it shouldn't take long to install here. Okay. See. All right, just in case it takes a little bit too long, I'll speed you guys up to be on the other side of when it's completed. All right, so now we're on the other side of the install, so it's been completely finished, so we're good there. So I'm actually going to close this out, and we're going to head over and swivel over to the server, so we can install the web server for the IIS component using the same steps that we literally just did, right? So let's see, add roles and features. Actually, before, let's see. See it's clicking. All right, perfect. So it's just, we're just going to do, I'm not going to have you guys walk through those steps with me again, but I did want to show the other side of the install finishing, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this server, and I'll put you guys on the other side of that as well, so you don't have to watch for those same exact steps again. All right, so I've just finished the install for the web server on this server, the SAO1. So I need to reboot again. All right, so now I'm just going to install the network load balancing servers. We'll install the network load balancing on servers, rather. So that component of the OS servers must be installed on the servers to enable servers to implement the NLB for the domain network. So let's actually open up PowerShell here. We're going to enter in a few commands. So let's do that one there. And this command isn't too long. All right, then network load balancer. All right, then we want to include all sub feature, and of course include management tools. All right, perfect. So now the install should be in progress. There it is. All right. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. All right, looks like it's going along pretty good. But just in case it takes a little bit long, because this video is going to be a little bit on the lengthy side because of the amount of exercises for us to get to completion. Just going to try to cut down on as much video time as possible directly related to us performing an action, right? So for install times like these, I'm just going to, speed it up so you guys will always be on the other side of that. So I'll do that here again. All right, perfect. So it has successfully completed on this server as well. So now we're just going to configure the network load balancing cluster. So the virtual cluster is the cluster, like a combination of resources on more than one computer on the network. And we're just going to create the first NLB cluster node. And to do this, let's make sure, yeah, we're good here. All right, and let's see. Let's see, there we go. New cluster here. Connect. All right, so now I want to notice that this when we hit connected, it shows the interfaces that's available for everything that's for the host to be connected to, right? So now I'm just going to select this one, hit next, right? And I'll keep the default here. And then let's add some clusters. Let's add some clusters. So we want to do, let's see, 192, not that one, 8, 0, 20. Pretty much what we've been using, right? So now we notice that the new IP is added to the new clusters, right? So, or to the cluster IP addresses rather. So then we're going to hit next, and then we're just going to place in here our name, right? So we want it multicast. It's going to be on more than one server, right? Then we're going to hit finish. And so now we have a new cluster, right? With the name, the cluster IP, multicasted, and things of that nature. Everything looks good. So now we're just going to configure the DNS server or the network to provide a host name, right, to the IP address. All right, so let's actually swivel over to here, and then let's get to DNS. All right, we're actually going to expand this, therefore lookup, right? And practice. All right, and then actually want to open this up. Then I want to do the last server we were just on, right? Well, the cluster name that we have here or had, right? And then the IP, the one we just saw, right? At the host successfully created. And so it just confirmed the creation of the FQDN for the cluster node. All right, so now we're just gonna exit out of here, right? So now the new host is created. Actually, we should be able to see it. Let me actually click here. So the new host, is that? Let's see everything. All right. Why is that so weird? All right, so we see the new host. Oh, okay. Yeah, we see the new host here. All right, perfect. So we have that set up there. So now we're just going to add a secondary node to the NLB cluster. So we can add servers to an existing cluster to augment the resources available with the cluster, right? So before adding that, we have to ensure two things. That we have administrative rights on the server that we're configuring. It's not necessarily a prerequisite as far as in case the configuration is done, right? And we have to refresh the network load balancing manager on the server that we're configuring. So now we're going to add a second server to the cluster. And we're going to start from this server and see, there it is. There it is. All right, perfect. No, we don't have the cluster name there. All right, let's see. Expand this. That's fine. That's all right. So we're just going to see. All right, correct. I just want to be careful about the case, uppercase and lowercase. Right. Perfect. All right, so now that we see the it has officially been connected, right? So we see the cluster name that we had before when we were on the last the last server and everything as far as when we connected that network load balancer manager as well. So just gonna click here and just want to add another host. And it's going to be this one, this that we're on now, actually. Yeah, that looks good. All right, perfecto. So we're good. All right, so let's see. That one, yeah, that one looks good. All right, let's take a look here. Next, let's see what this row's description. Okay, that looks good. All right, just wanted to read. So we're actually good to go, even though it says it's pending and converge. It could just be due to me being at a lab, unfortunately. But the server is added, even though it's in a pending state. It may take a while, even if it's not, because of a lab. It just may take a while in general for the server to be operational. But back on here, right, we're just going to see that it has been added as another node in the console for the console tree, right? So this indicates that now this server that we're on, the SAO1, is another host that's added to the network load balancing cluster. So we have to wait some time for the new entry to actually be in a better status as far as it being active. But we now have two servers and the DMO1 network load balancing, right? And we have this cluster here for DMO1 and SAO1. Then let's see. Actually, let me go back to see. Converge. Okay, Converge is good. Excuse me. So we're good. All right. So let me go back here. Just want to verify. Oh, sorry. Just want to verify we're still in the. Once I got. Right. All right, perfect. So now we're just going to examine the working of the cluster. So what the network load balancing does, it kind of what it sounds like, right? So it just manages traffic to each host on the cluster by distributing the client request as per the rules configured to the cluster, right? So now we're just going to study the working of the cluster. So we're just going to swivel over here, right? If it allows me to. Let's see. Okay, let's open this guy up here. Let's see. Um, all right. Yellow. Perfect. All right. So click A. Let's see where we should put that. All right. Gonna save it. And then we're gonna close this up. Right. Then we're gonna exit from here. And then let's click here. I'm gonna use the recommended settings. Right. I think it's DMO1. Perfect. So we've got the bitmap image with the NLB test that we have earlier visible. So from the art. All right. So so everything looks good so far. So let's actually open it back up, and then let's do the same thing with the other server. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I added the correct one. Let's see. Or I could just timed out, maybe. Maybe I should put it in uppercase if it lets me type. There it is. So now we can see it loaded without the NLB test because we obviously only did it on this server. So the text is missing, right? So it would normally be, well, not normally, but it would have been here had I done it for this. So this just confirms that the default web page of the two servers on the cluster are, I guess, this, or you can make them distinguishable from each other, right? So I'm just going to get out of there. All right, so now we're just going to configure and validate the rules for the port rules, at least for the NLB. So the port rules control the NLB traffic management, right, and working for the cluster. So any host that's had it added to the cluster right after the first host automatically inherits the cluster port rules from the initial host. So now we're just going to configure those rules. So I'm just going to read here also that the port rule mainly defines of the two operational parameters: affinity, which is a method used to associate client requests to cluster hosts. And when no affinity is specified, all network requests by clients are load balanced across the cluster without regard to their source. And filtering mode, which can be single host or multiple hosts, and specifies how the cluster handles traffic described by the port range and protocols. So to get started, we're going to actually, let's see, we're going to type a few commands in PowerShell. All right. I don't like that. Even though it's not, this is not case sensitive, I still depends on, there we go. All right, perfect. So now this creates the NLB folder under the C file that you'll see if you open up File Explorer. All right, so just going to clear it out here, and then just going to do this here. um, here. Um, NLB port. Perfect. So the files were copied. So, and we see what files were copied. It was the start, right? The IIS start that we use to distinguish the difference between the DMO1 server for when the page loads on Internet Explorer versus SAO1 as far as the NLB dash test, right? So now we're just going to, now that we've copied the contents, we're just going to type a new command. Um, let's see if I could spell. It's going to be NLB port physical path. All right. And we want port 6789. I knew I should have separated it. There it is. All right, perfect. So now it's just showing that we created a new website with the given specifications. That were, as far as the system response to the commands here that we got. So now we're just going to type in a new one. And what it's going to do is it's just going to create an inbound rule for the firewall for the NLB hosted typed in response, typed in command rather to receive that response for everything to be sent. So let's see, net firewall rule display name. For it. So 679, of course. Perfect. So as we can see, enabled true. Profile linear, unfortunately, but inbound lets us know that it inbound rule that we want to create it. It understands the direction we want to take it as far as inbound or outbound. Allow, and everything else is successfully from the store. Whatever, blah blah. All right, so now we can open up Internet Explorer. God, I hate that browser, but nonetheless, this is what we have. So let's type in web address here, and then let's do DM1 6789. Perfect. And as we can see, NLB test is still there because we have not configured it to be changed or different yet. So we can actually close this out again. Let's see. Okay. Just taking a look at a few things to make sure everything's coming out properly. All right. All right, so let's go to the server manager, right? Then let's go back to network load balancing. All right, and then let's see. There it is. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? All right. And we're going to remove that one. And of course, we're going to add one, right? Add, there we go. All right, and then let's see, we want to do port range from 80 to 80. All right, then protocols both, multiple hosts, because we do have the multicast, infinity, none. All right, and then we're good there. Right, very good there. Actually, let me make sure that it's there. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Anyway, because I move a bit too fast sometimes, so I just have to double check. All right. So let's actually go back because I know I was moving too fast. All right. So let's see here. Let me go back. Mhm. Yeah, actually, let me go back to edit here. Clear this out. Both single host. Okay. So let me go back here. All right, just making sure. All right. All right, perfect. All right, so sorry about the confusion, but I was supposed to create two defined port rules, and I had got mixed up, and I was going to mistakenly edit the original port rules from 8080 to 6789, but I need both of them to move forward. So now I'm just gonna click back here and then take a look at the host properties here. Actually, this one. All right, perfect. So just go back to port rules, and then let's see, edit 6789 actually. Edit here. So it pretty much says everything I needed to say, single host. So we're good there. All right, perfect. All right, so now let's see, go back here. And I see, well, one of them is now converging and the other one is currently converged. Let's see. I have to close it and open it back up because it should be converged. But nonetheless, we can should be able to move forward with the next task. Actually,